Let's take a look at an example of a function that we write, a user-defined function that calculates and returns the area of a circle. So if we want to calculate and return the area of a circle, we'd need one input, which would be the radius, and we would want to return one value, which would be the area. So in the function definition, we would have one input argument for the radius, and there would be one output argument for the area. So here's the function definition that we're going to write. This would be stored in an M file called calcarea.m. So the name of my function is calcarea, and again it would be stored in an M file with the same name. So in the function header I have the reserved word function, I have the name of my output argument, which I'm going to call area, and then the assignment operator, and the name of the function, which is calcarea, and then I need one input argument for the radius, so I've called it RAD. Then I have a block comment that describes what the function does. This function calculates the area of a circle. And then I don't really need to do any intermediate calculations. I can just assign to my output argument. So again, whatever I've called it up here in the function header, that's what we call it here. And we're going to assign to the output argument the result of the expression pi times the radius squared, or times itself. So putting a value in this output argument is the mechanism by which the function returns a value. So when we assign this expression to the output argument, that's how the function actually returns this number. Notice that we suppress the output from this, so we don't see the value that's being stored in the output argument area while the function is executing. Instead, the function just returns the value. So the names for my input and output arguments, those follow the same rules as for variable names. So they should be somewhat mnemonic. So I called it RAD for radius, and I called my output argument area. So once we have our function definition, how do we call the function? We could call it in several ways. For example, in the command window, if I just said calcarea in parentheses 4 as an expression, that would calculate the area of a circle that has a radius of 4. So 4 would be passed to the input argument. The function would use that to calculate and return the area. And since I have this just as an expression, the result would be stored in the default variable ans. On the other hand, I could call the function in an assignment statement. So for example, if I said my area gets the value of calcarea of 9, in this case I'm passing 9 to be the value of the input argument RAD, and it's going to use that to calculate and return the area, and in this case I'm storing it in a variable named my area. So I could use the same name as the output argument for my variable, or I could call it something different. It doesn't matter. Another way I could call the function would be in some kind of output function. For example, I could say disp calcarea of 5. So that would calculate the area of a circle that has a radius of 5. The calcarea function would return that number, and then here I'm displaying it, but I'm just displaying it, so I wouldn't have the value stored anywhere, not in ants, not in any other variable. So I can look at it, but I'm not going to be able to use the value later on. Now in some built-in functions you could pass a vector or a matrix to a function. Can we do that with our calcarea function? The answer is no, not the way we wrote it in this case, because I used the simple multiplication operator instead of the dot asterisk or star, instead of the array multiplication. So in here I said RAD times RAD, just using the scalar multiplication operator. So I could fix that. If I made this the array multiplication, then this could be a vector and this could be a vector, and it would multiply term by term. Or I could use the square, the dot caret symbol, in order to square the vector. So now it's going to work whether it's a vector or a matrix or a scalar. It doesn't matter. With the array multiplication, I can pass any type to be the input argument RAD.